than Ryan Day and his crew. And then you have your quarterback come out. Kerry, you already know, man. If you're in the headset until the clock goes down to 15 seconds and there's 10 seconds left, the rule of the game is take 5 and slide and give us an opportunity to get this kicker on the field. If he misses it, at least we have an opportunity, but we can't go for 10 to 15 with the time running out. We don't have an opportunity to win. So to me, coaching matters 1,000%, and we'll get on later on what I think about coaching overall in general, but I think Ryan Day let those kids down in this game, not understanding situational football. That's just my take. Kerry, you might have it different.
Yeah, I think Ryan Day gets get the short end of the stick a lot. The man lost 9 games now in his tenure as the head coach of Ohio State. 3 of them to Michigan, I think 3 or 4 of them to Michigan, which matters there. But, 1 point loss at Oregon at night. The only takeaway I have is, like you said, clock management. You have to know how much time you got left in the game. He took too long in the pocket to make a decision to try to run. It was just a 2 or 3 seconds too late. You got to get out of there quicker if that's what you're going to do. And you got to understand how much time is left in the game. Those are instant decisions that are made that are, those are make or break decisions, but those are wild. Some people get paid a lot of money and some people don't get paid a lot of money, being able to make those decisions in an instance. But all in all, I don't think Ohio State played poorly. I thought it was a really good game on both sides. I thought, the Dan Lanning 12 men on the field, I thought that was interesting. If that's exactly what took place, I haven't heard that it was or it was not. But if you can, who did a really good job of that is Bill Belichick, understanding rules and understanding how to skirt the rules just a little bit. And until they change it, if it's in the rule book or if it's not in the rule book, we're going to take advantage of it. So I thought that was a really good thing if that's what he did, which to me, it looked like it was. But I don't take anything away from Ryan Day and Ohio State. I think if that game was played in Ohio State probably wins by, a field goal or a couple of points. Those are 2 really good teams, 2 of the top teams in the country. And on their home field, Oregon did what they needed to do to come out with the dub.
Kerry, just to kind of jump on what you said, like everyone is too tough on Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Ryan Day is 2-6 versus top 5 competition. Right? If you were at Illinois or if you're at Missouri,
that's
and
crazy.
you only lost 9 games.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. No offense to that. Go ahead, talk your talk, Smoke. It's good,
right?
You talking to
just not the top
greatest Illini of all time. That's crazy.
Hey,
listen, knock, but just hear me out. If the head coach at the Fighting Illini, I'm not even gonna say it. Illini only lost 9 games in a 6-year span. Yeah, you would probably he probably named the stadium after him, the field.
No question.
You have a hall somewhere there. And I apologize not explaining it properly to you or saying your school the right way. But when you're at the Ohio State and it's either championship and beat Michigan or bust, like you failed at those. And when you have the best team that money can buy, and you go out there and you don't understand that on an offensive penalty, that the clock is still running and you need to take a timeout because he lost some
time there
on that as well too. Those are actions that truly cripple your team because you went out and got Chip Kelly as your offensive play caller. So you don't call plays anymore. Your sole job is to manage the game. So if this was last year when he's still trying to call plays and he's looking down his play sheet and he doesn't see the clock is running, he doesn't understand situations. But when you're the head coach, situations 1,000% falls on you, not the coordinator.
Yeah.
So he failed on Saturday. The kids didn't fail him. He failed the kids.
I will say time management obviously is on the head coach. Going back to his record, 2-6, you said?
2-6, top 5.
2 of those losses was to the eventual national champ. 2 or 3 of those losses to the eventual national champ.
I got nothing to do with that.
Georgia. He lost to Michigan twice. Michigan went to the Final Four 2 times.
Bama.
Lost both of them. Like, for me, the fact that people are so ready to get rid of Ryan Day, he got to go. You get somebody else in there. Michigan felt that same way, and there were some coaches that came in there and hadn't had the success that Jim Harbaugh had eventually. Right. It took him some time to get it figured out as well. So,
Kerry, I ain't saying that. I'm not saying fire him. I'm just pointing out what his failures were on Saturday.
I think, and I'm sure if he could rewind that, I'm sure he would look at that and say, we probably do need to take that time out, even though that's going to leave us with none. But I think everything was going in the right way. You got an offensive pass interference against Jeremiah Smith that pushed them back. They were in field goal range with that catch. That pushes them back. And now things are just kind of scrambling. Looking at it again, I think Ohio State is going to be fine. I think this will be the year that they get over the hump at Michigan as well.
I don't disagree. Let me say this. Smoke, you and I had a good conversation early in the year. We talked about Ohio State and how much money they spent on that roster. And I asked you what you thought about Will Howard. And could he be the guy in that type of crucial situation to make the type of play? And you were like, yo, the tape doesn't suggest it. Respectfully, right? And I think that's a great.
There's a guy in the top corner up there that we said this on Unfiltered. We said this is the Transfer Portal Show, and I got crushed. My producer told me, you're out of your mind. Carl Reed gave me a look and asked me, do they call me smoke or am I smoking smoke? And I looked at him and said, hey, listen, the only smoke I'm smoking is the one that gives me great knowledge. That in a big-time game, when you're 1 versus 2, 2 versus 3, top 5 competition, your best offensive player needs to show up and play at their best. Oregon's did and outplayed your guy. Your head coach now has to show up and coach his best. The other coach did. Your guys didn't. So even though you can pay for it and buy it, sometimes you can't buy it, Kerry, and you don't know what that is. Yeah. That's the knack of understanding situations and not allowing those situations to get too big for you in critical situations, critical games. Your man lost the game for him. They gave him $1 million.
Yeah. One more here for you both, man, and then obviously Reed jump in on this. Reed, I know this is your guy. I want to make sure we shout out Dan Lanning. Huge environment, biggest environment that Oregon's had. I mean, Marcus Mariota days, it's been a long time since they've had that environment. Game days there all day. People been drinking since 6 a.m. It was wild. Jordan Burch doesn't play. Dylan Gabriel was almost outcast from Norman. They almost threw him off the bus. Just go.
They waved at him. Bye-bye.
Man, unbelievable. And he comes out as a signature performance. The defense stands really tall without a projected second-round guy against arguably the best offense that we've seen in it pieces-wise. The best offense we've seen in a decade, right?
The best roster.
Yeah, you're right, but I'm just going to stick to the offense side for the sake of missing Burch, right? Mm-hmm. For Lanning to have his guys prepared says a lot about, obviously, Lanning. Hold on. But it says a lot about the Kirby Smart coaching tree, too. Carl Reed, talk to us about your goddamn Lanning.
So you got to know, Dan Lanning history. I mean, I couldn't even necessarily say the Kirby tree. He was a GA first for Todd Graham, who's a good football coach. Then he was with Saban at Bama as a GA, which is where the relationship with him and Kirby started. Then he went to Memphis and worked for Mike Norvell, who has also done a really good job as a head football coach. Then he got to go back to Georgia, with Kirby. So his foundation, his football foundation is really strong. And he's been around really good head coaches. You've been around Saban. You've been with Kirby. He spent some time with Mel Tucker, at Georgia also. So he's been around some guys. He has a very, very strong football foundation and is a total student of the game. When he used to come in to recruit St. Louis, he was always willing to talk X's and O's. He was always willing to help. A tremendous recruiter, a tremendous communicator, and a tremendous defensive mind, and has a lot of awareness on the rules of the game. And what he did in that situation isn't a surprise to me because he's worked for coaches that had that same type of mastery of the rules and the rule book, and just being able to see those things. So he's getting those things at a really young age here. I want to ask you this real quick, Kerry, before we move on, and we're going to get into some of these fan comments because we got a little debate breaking out in the comments. But you're an old school Big Ten guy. How was it seeing Oregon and Ohio State in a Big Ten game from your perspective?
I loved it. I love USC, playing Michigan. I love seeing Penn State going to USC. I love Washington going to Michigan and those. I think it just grows the brand of the Big Ten, and it gives you, more stability, more name recognition. All of these teams those 4 teams coming from the Pac-12, I think it really just adds value. And then you got to think about it. You know, some of those teams, Pac-12 and Big Ten was always the Rose Bowl. So, you know, it's not like there's no familiarity with that conference and those teams. So I think just adding them here to the Big Ten is a beautiful thing. I'm excited about it. I love it. And to piggyback one last thing off of Dan Lanning, he had same thing as you, Corey. He came in, recruited one of my kids, one of my D linemen is out there in Eugene, and man, he gave you his whole story, how he grinded and where he came from. And you start to root for a guy like that. Like it wasn't a silver spoon, you know, somebody in his family or somebody closely related to him got him a job as a DC. And he really grinded and worked his way up through the ranks. And, you know, you can sit down and talk with this man and just really chop it up and have a real good conversation. So a guy like that, I'm rooting for. And of course, I'm rooting for him a little bit more now for two reasons. He got one of my kids, but he's a Big Ten guy now. So, you know, the best conference in football, right, Reed?
Yeah. Listen, the SEC is the best conference in football. But one thing about it, Dan Lanning, he's not from St. Louis, Smoke, but he is from Kansas City, Missouri. So he still is a Missouri guy as well.
Yeah. Let's see when that rubber hits the road. What happened when it truly gets down to those final 4 games? We'll talk then.
So we got a comment from Coach K. Stokes here, and this has become a debate in the room a little bit. Texas #1 in the country. Oregon 2. Should Oregon be #1 after they win against Ohio State? Did they do enough to take Texas out of the #1 spot, Smoke?
No. Reed, you watch Oregon those first 3 games barely beat some average teams. Texas is the best team from the beginning of the season till now in terms of consistent play overall. I think Texas is still 1. Oregon is a close 2, but they don't deserve it just because of what they did last week. I think it's a body of your work, and I think Texas' body of work is better than Oregon's.
Brandon, do you agree with that? Do you think that Texas still stays 1?
I do. And I think to Kerry's point about the best conference in football, the SEC, Texas gets another opportunity this week to prove that is, you know, obviously my favorite team, Georgia, goes on the road to see if they can't steal one. Definitely the underdog in terms of production. And Texas is in a great spot, man. What Sark has done, you know, I don't want to say that it's monumental because there's so many resources there on campus in Austin. But it's one thing to have resources, another thing to be able to deploy those things and actually get it done. And he's gotten it done, whether it's Isaiah Bond, whether it's by Arch Manning and those guys buying him to take time for Arch's development, Quinn Ewers being willing to stick around. You look at all the different things that have to happen for what they're accomplishing now to actually be accomplished. Heck, the lineman, the Banks kid, I mean, they're loaded. Every position, there's somebody that's going to play on Sundays, and that's hard to do. And so you got to respect that from Sark. But obviously what Dan has done in Eugene is great. But again, the great thing about the best conference in the country, the SEC, is that every other week at least, you're going to have to prove it against somebody in the top 15. You're going to see Missouri. You're going to see Georgia. You're going to see Bama. You're going to see Ole Miss. You're going to see LSU. The LSU-Ole Miss shootout was fantastic. Every other week, if not every week, you're going to see somebody that can literally line up and beat you. Whereas in the second best conference, you're going to see somebody every third or fourth week, and that's okay.
So Reed, I'm an SEC guy. I'm an SEC guy. You already know that. But I don't think this conversation is that far away. Because who are the best 2 teams in the SEC? If you had to say right now, Reed, who are the best 2?
Ooh, the best 2? Texas, of course, it would be #1, and Georgia.
Okay.
And Bama's right there. I mean, to the win.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
No. Thank you, Smoke. Thank you. Man, after my own, I appreciate your honesty.
No, they're
Thank
not. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not.
They're not better than Georgia, but they on any given Saturday, as a Georgia fan, it hurt my heart to watch us. We lost. It's fine. But on any given Saturday, that Bama roster can line up and beat you.
No, they can't.
That Ole Miss lineup, they can line up and beat you.
No, they
can't. They can't.
Now,
they might lose to South Carolina, but they can line up and beat you.
Right. So hear me out. And this is why I say this is why I'm saying it. Right. Top to bottom, we all can't just walk away and say the SEC is just drumming the Big Ten anymore. Right. At the top, I think Ohio State and Oregon is better than the combination of Georgia and Texas. This is my opinion. Roster wise, yes. Talent wise, yeah, it's close. It's not that gone. The Tennessee team we just saw, is Tennessee better than Penn State?
No. But that sound you just heard, that's the Alabama alums kicking smoke out the group chat.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's the Alabama
No, but I'm not saying historically that, but this year there's a strong conversation. There's a strong conversation, fellas.
Now I think Texas to me is the top team. You talked about it, and the fact that they were able to, Arch Manning there obviously will be starting at a bunch of Power 4 conference schools right now, willing to sit and wait. And Quinn Ewers, doing what he's doing. He's a first round guy if he decides to leave after this year. I think Texas is, despite you may look at they ain't played enough. I think they've done a good job with what they have, and I do think that they are loaded. And I do think the next three best teams are those 3 Big Ten teams. Like that, and that's how it's ranked, and that's my opinion, is how it is. You got Ohio State and Oregon playing in that matchup. That's a damn good. That's why I didn't have a problem with Ohio State not falling too far back, because you fly all the way to Oregon, out to Eugene, and you lose by 1 point. That's a hell of a football game on a neutral field.
Heck yeah.
Flipped. So, I mean, you just don't know. There's an advantage of playing at home. That's why you want to play a team like that at home. Right. But to your point, Smoke, watching Alabama, I can't say that they one of the top teams in the country just because they are Alabama, just because they have been Alabama under Nick Saban. This is a different team. This is a different – it's a lot of the players are still there, but that's a different running it.
Hey, Kerry, all they did was beat Georgia in the first quarter.
Yes.
Georgia bust them up for the next 3.
They did. So, I'm looking at some of these teams. I think the Big Ten, I agree with you. The Big Ten is right there. And we are, I do believe that they are one of the 1A in conferences in terms of who has the best teams overall.
So I say this about Penn State real quick, though. I mean, I get it. James Franklin, fine. Aller, Singleton. The Warren kid has the game of his life where they lose to USC. Like, he literally matched his career production in a singular game. But
stop that.
Right?
Stop
hold
that.
On.
Stop.
Hold on. Let me finish. They beat number 19 Illinois. They only have, as of today, they have one more ranked game on their schedule, and that's Ohio State, and they get them at home. If they can win that game, I'm all for it, right? But they literally have 2 ranked opponents on an entire schedule. That's how light the league is.
That's not their problem.
It is not their problem.
But that speaks to the league. It speaks to how light the league. Y'all want to talk about Big Ten versus SEC? Everybody in the SEC got a number by their name. That thing loaded. Hey,
or it can speak to how much bias it is for the SEC, because the SEC came in with more teams ranked than the Big Ten. The Big Ten has had to climb a bunch of their teams, Indiana, Illinois, climb into those rankings. Like the SEC came in, Ole Miss ranked, LSU ranked, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee. All of those teams but that doesn't mean that they are. That doesn't mean that they are. When it's all said and done, that doesn't make them the best teams in the country.
Agreed.
That's based off of what they have done, not based off of who they are and what they are going to do. The Big Ten teams that I just spoke about have come along and are now, like I said, you got 3 of them teams in the top 4 in the country.
So let me throw a question out there to y'all real quick. Let me throw this out there. Is the SEC that competitive because it's loaded this year, or is it competitive because there's a lot of mediocre teams competing in the SEC and the teams are more evenly matched because it's not a dominant team? Smoke, what you think on that?
Yeah, there's one big elephant that's left the room that now the conversation is swinging to the Big Ten, and that's Nick Saban.
There you go.
He's not down in Tuscaloosa drumming up that machine like he was before. And if Nick Saban's at Alabama, we're not having the conversation because we're saying Bama is dominant. Georgia just maybe have lost to them. Georgia's dominant. Texas is dominant. We're not having that conversation. So they'll have a strong 3, and I'm believing that the rest of the world would say, yep, it's the SEC again. Now, I don't know if it's because – it's not because of talent. To me, it's a lot of the combination of talent and coaching. There are more – players that's been spread out just because of NIL and the transfer portal and recruiting. And if I'm a young man that wants to get some notoriety, and I want to be in front of the TV, yeah, I'm gonna go play in the Big Ten because I got the East Coast, the Midwest, and now I can go out west and do my business out there too. In the Southeast, you only got one market, right? So I think that's changing the landscape of it. And when we all came into the season, we thought that Ole Miss, just because they had that transfer portal winning of signing day, that we thought that was going to turn into a dominant team. But we're seeing it again, like, no bueno. It ain't it. You see what I'm saying? So
hit on your
wrong,
point.
Smoke, but they got the Judkins loss was a major. Like, I thought that before the season. The Judkins, for as good as Nolan and those other guys are, that Judkins loss was a huge loss. And you see kind of the way they're losing games. They need another feature marquee guy. They just don't have one.
Well, heck, it ain't helping Ohio State get 1 point because they just got two dominant guys.
I think you hit a good point when you talked about the markets. You talk about LA with USC and UCLA. You talk about Chicago with Northwestern and Illinois and really, Michigan. You talk about New York with Rutgers and Penn State. Like, all of those are the three main markets in the country, and you're hitting in all three of those markets when you're in the Big Ten. Like, that matters. Like you said, if you coming from Rutgers, you go play out in LA, like, you're being seen all over the country. So for me, the brand of the Big Ten has shifted by going and getting those Pac-12 teams and adding that LA market into what you got going on. Like, you got more eyeballs watching Ohio State and Oregon than probably would have in the past. So for me, I think the Big Ten has done something that is spectacular with adding those Pac-12 teams.
But guys, we gotta still keep in mind, Kerry, Smoke, and Brandon, that the reason that the SEC has been seen as the superior conference is because year after year after year, the SEC has dominated the national championship conversation. I don't know. I mean, just period. I mean, Michigan snuck in there and won one. Ohio State jumped in there and won one. But you've had Alabama win multiple. Georgia won multiple. LSU won multiple during that run. Auburn won a national championship. Urban Meyer won 2 at Florida. Like, you had multiple teams in the SEC.
How far back we going?
Kerry, you got multiple teams in the SEC.
We wonder what the timeline is. You go back to when we was in college. How far back we going?
Let's not talk about when we. Hey,
make my point clear. I just want to make sure.
We're not saying that the SEC historically it's been the SEC. We know that. We're talking about Monday, October 14th. What is it right now? And we all can't walk away and say slam dunk SEC. It's a conversation, and it's a tough one.
Here's my final point to this. Penn State, right? I agree with Ohio State and Oregon. And Penn State's going to have their opportunity in 2 weeks. Yeah. When is the last time? Stay with me now. I got a question. We are 6 weeks into the season. When is the last time that a team has been number 4 in the country with a singular ranked win over the number 19 team in the country? That's Penn State's only ranked win. They're 6-0. They have one ranked win, but we have them at number 4 in the country. They barely beat an unranked USC team on the road. Can we give them credit for that? And this is again, I'm not even trying to phrase it in a way. I'm just asking. You guys do a great job, Smoke, to the Will Howard discussion before the season, right? I trust your eyes. I trust your judgment. I can't think of a team in recent memory that's been ranked this high that hasn't had a signature type of win, an Oregon or Ohio State win, right? That didn't start high. They've ascended, but I don't know who they've beaten to ascend. Talk to me. And then
they're undefeated. And here's the reason why the football mind will say Penn State. What James Franklin did this offseason of hiring Andy Kotelnicki as the offensive coordinator has taken them to the next level.
Doing a great job.
When was the last time that you saw Penn State with this much variety in their offense? Like, they challenges you vertically in the offense in the pass game, horizontally. They challenge you in the run game with 2-back, quarterback runs. Now they make you even go to unbalanced sets. So as a defensive coordinator, you can't just go out there and say, they're going to come in 12 personnel, 2x1, 2x2, 10 personnel, 3x1, and this is what they're going to do. You have to come out there and identify who are the eligibles. You saw it on that touchdown by my man Warren. And you better put some respect on his name. He is a talented tight end. The boy can ball. You just don't look at it and say, well, he only got a name on his jersey. It's Penn State. He can go. He can go.
I'm gonna tell you this, Smoke. The thing is with them, what you just talked about offensively, they can come out in 10, they can be in 11, they can be in 12. I've seen them in 22. They running zone scheme, gap scheme, pin and pull scheme. They running RPO. They going drop back. I've seen mesh. Like they have such a variety of what they're able to do on offensively, like they haven't had in the past. And he's getting the most out of the quarterback, and they haven't had that in the last few seasons.
And they got players. They got players.
I'll say this about Penn State. I watched Illinois play Penn State. I do radio for Illinois. I wasn't at that game, but I watched it. Illinois plays probably, 80, 85% man-to-man. Like they got cornerbacks that can play football. I think Xavier Scott is a pro. I think he's going to get drafted. He's a guy, Miles Scott is safety. Like they got some pros in that secondary. Illinois didn't play man-to-man, much man-to-man against Penn State. And and to my surprise, I'm like, why we ain't in man?
They know better.
It probably wasn't a good matchup, bro. Like, and we got some guys that I think are going to be pros. But to do that all day long, all night long, I think it would have been too much on them. So Penn State is probably a much better team. And Penn State is also beneficial of all of the teams that have fallen in front of them. Like what happens? You keep winning, you keep rising in the rankings. And teams in front of you losing, they start to fall. Alabama lose, Tennessee lose.
Right.
You know, you got all these teams that are losing in front. Georgia lose. Like you are going to jump them. That's just the natural progression of how the rankings go. We will see in due time whether or not Penn State is really like that. Like you said, they got Ohio State here in a couple of weeks. So we'll see if they really are who we think they are, or are they not.
Right. But even with that said, Kerry, you understand playing the league. When you go from East Coast to West Coast, it's a beast.
No question.
They just went to Cal. And they just went to Southern Cal, and they won that game. No matter how they did it, they did it. That's a difficult task against a very good defensive mind. And Tom Allen on that defense for Penn State, again, another great hire by James Franklin. We haven't seen James Franklin, have we, Carl? We haven't even talked about it. The camera don't even pan to him on the sideline anymore. Right? Because he's not doing, and Penn State's not doing James Franklin type things. Losing in big games, not being able to complete games. He's managing the game like a head coach is supposed to, because he got quality coordinators that's running his offense and his defense, and now gives them that opportunity to make those 4 to 5 calls to win the game. And then you go to the end of the game, bang, field goal kick, they win it, and they out of there. Difference. I'm telling you, great hire.
Hey, listen, we got about 850 people now watching live. Keep asking your questions. I'll put the questions up. Kerry, we got a question here since we on the Big Ten specifically for you.
What up?
From Jason. I know you can see it up on the screen. Kerry, explain how is Michigan only a 3-point favorite against your Fighting Illini this weekend? It seems like Michigan is going to run for 400 yards.
Ooh, boy.
They just took a jab at you.
Now, I would say this.
On the set.
Nah, I will say this because I just talked about Penn State and their passing game. They didn't go off in the passing game against Illinois. They did in the running game, and up front we had a little bit of issues. Like that's the one thing that concerns me about Illinois is whether or not we're gonna be able to stop the run. If we can stop the run, I like Illinois all day. That 3 points ain't enough. Like
good luck.
I think we can cover whoever in the passing game. I don't know that Michigan is going to be able to pass the ball effectively. So what I think that, watching Illinois, watching them run the football, not have turnovers. Luke Altmaier has played really well this season and not turning the ball over for the most part. He had one in that Penn State game. But I think that they've done a really good job of doing what they do well. Barry Lundy, the offensive coordinator for Illinois, has done a really good job of getting their players the ball in space. Pat Bryant, I think, is another guy that is a pro, a guy that goes and catches the ball, has a huge catch radius, and makes plays. Zachary Franklin is the leader in touchdowns and receptions in NCAA right now, the active leader. He has done a great job, transferred in from Ole Miss. Didn't get much playing time there. He's done a great job this year. Illinois has the potential to be a really good football team, and I know people haven't seen enough of them. You might have saw that Penn State game going to Happy Valley. Let me tell you something. One of the hardest places to play in the world, in my opinion. You look out in Happy Valley, it's like a spaceship. It's nothing else. It's out into the abyss. It's nothing there at nighttime. You can't even see nothing. So that's a tough game to play. We lost by a couple of touchdowns. Michigan, to me, if they can run the ball well, it'll be a good game. If we are able to shut down the run, Illinois by a touchdown plus. That's just my opinion. That's not me speaking from my Illinois sunglasses or rose-colored glasses. That's me telling that Illinois has a good enough team that if we can stop the run with Michigan, Illinois will win that game.
Fair.
So listen to this, guys. I'm watching the Florida-Tennessee game. Florida been having a rough season. Week after week, people come on and they attack Billy Napier. People are saying they want him fired. My question is, I'm watching the game. Florida scores at the end. I thought they should have went for 2. They end up kicking it, losing in overtime. Smoke. Would you have went for 2?
Reed, you know what I'm gonna say, bro. It's a fatal flaw when you lack self-awareness. Napier lacks self-awareness, bro. He's a dead man walking. He's out of there. There's no chance for you to get hired or sustain that job or get retained as a head coach at Florida unless you beat Tennessee. Your team is not good enough to go into overtime with Tennessee. I'm going for 2. I'm getting fired anyway. It's like going to casino carry with house money. And I'm betting that, double that, hit that. I'm doing everything because I know I'm already out of it. What are you trying to coach for? You already coached your team to the best scenario that any one of y'all thought coming off that bus. Listen, let's double down. We're going for it. And I'm gonna give you trips right, sprint right option with that quarterback with the ball in his hand with the opportunity to run with it.
I can understand that viewpoint and being on the road versus being at home because Kelly had to make that same decision down in LSU. Was he going to go for the 2-point or was he going to kick it and go into overtime? And they went into overtime and they won. And so it's different. I think it depends on your team. Like you have to know, Brian Kelly would say we worked so hard to get back into that game. I could not just go for 2 and not win that game and end up losing that game. We worked too hard to get back into that game.
Yeah, real coach. You understand your team.
I think it's a difficult, like for me, bro, you go for 2 there and you don't get it.
You're getting fired anyway.
Yeah, but if I don't, you say that. But if I go into overtime and I win, then I feel a little bit, life is a little bit different.
Your starting quarterback that you chose, regardless if the backup is better, is out. You aren't a better team than the one that you're about to face for another series.
Yeah.
You don't have enough to run this race. You got one shot. Bro, just throw the dice out there, bro. If you crap out, go home. Who cares? You got house money.
Hey, Reed.
I think that's easy to say from this seat.
Okay. Let me jump in on this. Smoke, I agree with you. Let me give you the background. I got 2 things I want to get off here. First one, to the LSU discussion, and the same thing here to Florida. If I have the best player in the game, I'll take it to overtime. Dylan Sampson's the best player in that Tennessee game. I don't want to see him again. He's been cooking me all day. Yeah. I think he had 120 or 2 touchdowns going into OT. I do not want to see him anymore. Guess who scores the winning touchdown? Dylan Sampson. I'm trying to run. Let's get out of here. Now let's go to Baton Rouge. I think we have the best player in the game in Kyron Lacy. Guess who scores the winning touchdown? Kyron Lacy. Players make plays, right? The Smoke, you said so. Fighters make fights, right? Yep. Players make plays. If I have the best player in the game, I'll take it to overtime. If I don't, I'm trying to get the heck out of there really quick and just call it good. The second part, I want to go back to the Michigan-Illinois carry because I think you hit on something. If Illinois is able to, and I think they can because Michigan's passing game is so bad. But Warren Kid, I think, has thrown 2 touchdowns and 6 picks. He just is 400 yards. He's darn near as bad as the kid from UNLV that left mid-year and just pieced out, right? Sorry. He's back. So all that being said, if I'm Illinois, I'm putting 8 in the box. Y'all got to find a way. Edwards got to run on me. Y'all have to find a way to beat me vertically. Even with 8 in the box, I feel like we can keep leveling in check, assuming that he plays and he's healthy. I'm good there. And if Michigan or Warren can beat me on the outside perimeter with me with 8 in the box, I lose the game. So be it. Between Mullings, I'm not letting Mullings beat me. I'm not letting Edwards beat me.
No.
Warren, who's throwing a 1-to-3 touchdown to interception ratio and averaging about 90 yards a game throwing the football, has got to beat me. And if I got to put 9 in the box, I'm putting 9 in the box, man.
And I told you, Illinois got some corners that can cover well enough to be able to play in that passing game. That doesn't concern me at all.
Now the Sky Kid's really good, man. You're right.
Kerry, you know what's going to happen.
Tell me
you and I both know what's going to happen.
Let me know
on Saturday.
What's that?
You put whoever you want in the box. You take every Hall of Fame linebacker and defensive lineman in the box against Michigan. They ain't passing it. They're going to line up and say, you got it, you got it.
They're going to run power.
And they're going to run the ball right in your face. And you know
have to.
A and B gap.
I know.
Stop them. They're okay with it. And you can stop them 79 plays. And they're going to run it 81, 80. And if they're going to bust one, and that's going to be their game. People have tried this. We know what Michigan's going to do. It's not a mystery of saying, well, they might come out here and RPO.
No. You know what they're doing?
They're going to come straight in your face.
And that's why Washington last week. It worked for Washington. You know, obviously the winner, I think Illinois can, again, I don't know that it'll be a 10 spread on it, but I think they can come out. I think they can win that game. If you can limit their running backs to, I think the magic number is about 240. They're going to run the football. It's what they do.
Yeah.
But to the 400 discussion, I don't think that either, whether it's Mullings or Edwards, either of those guys on a normal day, they're not putting up Genty numbers from Boise State, right? That dude's doing 270 by himself, man.
It ain't going to be Edwards because when you watch Donovan on film, he lacks what real good running backs have. Patience.
Mm-hmm.
Patience and vision. And he just doesn't have a natural feel of running inside to find those little creases and hit it.
Well, Smoke, you know that's because they run mostly gap scheme. They're not a zone run team. They're a gap scheme.
Even on gap schemes, you still gotta allow the pullers to time it up to hit just right because the linebacker is mirroring you. And when you jump out of there, you make Kerry's block tougher because you're running him away. But if you stay tight on Kerry and hold it, Kerry's gonna take you right through him. And once Kerry makes contact, then you cut. But if you cut before, I'm a linebacker. I'm scraping over top, and I'm coming. I'm busting your face.
Listen,
Kerry, you should turn around, and look at me like, bro.
I done cussed out many running backs for making poor decisions. Hey, don't go there no more.
Hey, well, listen, Kerry. You know when they don't run that power path right, it messes up your spider 2-wide banana. When
no question. I got to get out there. Baby, don't mess up my money.
Yeah, it messes that spider. That spider 2-wide banana. That makes Kerry upset. Listen, Jason asked, if Florida fires Napier, do they have enough pool to get Drink from Mizzou? No, Drink's not going to go to the Florida Gators. And why would he? He's at the University of Missouri, man. Florida Gators are in shambles from an NIL standpoint. They haven't decided yet that they're going all in with NIL. So I don't see a scenario where Drink would want to go down to the University of Florida and compete with the likes of Florida State, Miami, UCF. USF is having a good run right now. When you are the flagship school in the state and you're the only show in town, and he has that at the University of Missouri, I don't see that at all.
And the fact that here in Missouri, you know about this, Reed, the fact that they can get them boys that NIL money much sooner. They are able, soon as they sign, they ready to roll. They don't have to be on campus. They sign, they start to get paid. That is an additional thing that allows. I see you smiling. You're happy to hear that about your guys up there in Mizzou. It's just one of the benefits, man, that's really helping them with this NIL. Keep these kids in state and really make a push for them.
Well, Kerry, since you were a traitor of the state and cross state lines to go play at Illinois, and you refuse to play for Missouri, you need to go talk to the legislation in the state of Illinois so they can get them some of the same benefits. But you are a Missourian, even though that you made the decision to go across the state.
At least we got one on this line. The other one from Detroit, Michigan.
Listen, so everybody stayed laid up and watched the Colorado game. Travis Hunter goes down, Horn goes down, Colorado loses a close one. Brandon, when you think about the Colorado game, what were some of your takeaways?
It's amazing how much better they are, even than last year across the board, right? Better they are than they were 2 years ago. Obviously, it was a dumpster fire. To be able to continue to compete. And K-State's good, right? Like, I don't know if they have a lot of signature guys that will play on Sunday. I think that might be a little extreme of a statement. But that is a good football team, right? You talk about teams that deserve to be ranked. They're different, Kerry, but the same way that I like watching Illinois play football, right? They got dudes that can play, man. That's a game last year. They lose by 30 going away. The minute Travis and Horn are no longer able to play in that game, how good was Sanders down the stretch, right? You talk about another year of progression from him. That's a game last year where he gets hit late in the third. He just basically checks out, like, I'm tired of getting hit. Mm-hmm. Travis ain't out here. I'll see y'all later, man. I'm going back to the locker room and I'm gone. So I thought there were a lot of good takeaways from a team that is on the verge now being bowl eligible and should be able to be on the right side of 500 when the season comes. You talk about building a program, and obviously it remains to be seen whether Deion chooses to continue to build Colorado after Travis and Shedeur are gone. But there are at least pieces there now where you don't look and you're like, you and I had a conversation before the season, and a game like that, again, 12 months ago, that's one of those nights where you're like, Deion has to leave. A game like that 12 months later, without Travis, Shedeur still plays really well. There are a couple pieces away from Colorado being a legitimate year in and year out contender inside of a Big 12. Should Deion Sanders choose to stay? He's the face of college football right now. It's literally him and Nick Saban. Only one of those guys is still coaching actively, right? There's a lot of positives to take away from what's happening in Boulder, Colorado, and that doesn't include Shedeur and Travis. In 7 months, those guys are gone, right? Those guys will never play another game. Does Deion stay? Can he stay? Can it be somewhat sustainable? And I think Saturday night, for as tough as that was for them, speaks to the fact that there's at least a chance of sustainability out there. I thought it was inside of a loss, no moral victories, but I thought it was a good night for the other guys, not named Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn. How about that?
When I look at the Colorado game and in the breakdown of it, and B, you said dumpster fire a year ago. I can't agree with you on that. And
2 years ago, before Deion.
So
he said before Prime got
All right.
Yeah.
Even when I go back to last year's team with the 4-8 record, Travis Hunter missed 5 games, right? So my thought process is if Travis plays in those 5 games, they win at least 2 of them, and they end up in a bowl. He makes that much of a difference. But what you did see differently out of Colorado this weekend, not only did Hunter go down, then Horn, the number 2 receiver, went down. And then Miller, who's the number 4 receiver, he goes down with a broken ankle. And they still competed. They still had a chance to win at the end. I was talking to Coach Prime on Sunday, and a lot of people don't realize Chris Kleiman at Kansas State has done an incredible job there. He won 5 FCS national championships as the head coach at North Dakota State. K-State 2 years ago won the Big 12 and was playing Alabama in a New Year's Six Bowl. So you're talking about a good program that has consistently put pros in the National Football League. It's a pro development program. They do a great job running the ball. We talk about Michigan's run game on here a lot, but the power O run game that Kansas State has, Connor Riley's the offensive line coach there, who does an excellent job with the way that they develop offensive linemen. So you lost to a good football team, and you didn't see Colorado impose. You saw them compete without their top guys. They were still competing and trying to find a way to win. And you lost to a good football team there in the end, So from that standpoint, when I think about the Colorado K-State game, that's my takeaway. The key is going to be going into practice today. They practiced this morning, getting ready for the University of Arizona, and getting those guys, getting Travis and getting Horn back on the field. Because in the game against K-State, they needed Travis more defensively than they needed him offensively because they gave up some of those big passes at the end. And Travis is able to defend that. So that's my biggest takeaways from the Colorado game and from what I saw. But the team is night and day from a year ago, and they got a lot of guys in there competing.
I would give K-State some credit. I thought when they got smoked, I watched that BYU game a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh, this team is done. Like BYU smacked them boys in the mouth. Quick, early, fast, and often, and it didn't even look good. Like they gave it to them, and to see K-State come back and play, that is a really good team. Like they are well deserved of where they are ranked in the country right now. They play hard. They don't have no quit in them. They're not a soft team at all. The other takeaway I had is, man, Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. And I say that because there are some things that you cannot teach. And one is mental toughness and physical toughness. That young man stood in there. I watched him get smoked. They brought more than they could block. And you know, like I know, sometimes it's on the quarterback to get the ball out, receiver, get your eyes around. That young man stood in there, took the shot, got smoked, got up, complete pass, let's go. There is a level, there is something about in this game where it's nobody to help you. It's you against you. It's you against the man that you playing against. And sometimes you're going to beat a bear, and sometimes the bear going to get you. And you get smoked, and you got to get up and go do that again. That's something that is not able to be taught. You either have that innately in you or you don't. And as a football player, when I see a young man get hit and don't blink, don't budge, get up and get ready for the next play, that man can play with me. We can be on the same team any day of the week. I would coach him. I would work with him. I would play for him, play next to him. Like that's a person that you want on your roster. And when I saw that, I know, yeah, that's a young man that's going to have a long career in the NFL because he doesn't have any fear or any doubt in him, and he's going to make a play regardless of what he's facing.
Reed, my takeaway from the game is Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback. If the draft was today and I'm a GM and this is all that they have right now, their resume, I'm taking Shedeur Sanders as the number one quarterback right now in the draft. And you know me, I didn't feel this way about him even up to last week. But when I saw and what he did in this game of throwing with anticipation, making those middle of the field reads in terms of understanding that I am going to get my face rocked off. And I always say, if I can see a quarterback take a cinder block coming at their face and only about an inch away, then move to throw it, you have pocket toughness and pocket awareness. And his ability to hitch in the pocket, get small, come out big, find target, and throw on time, hit you in that hairline for you have the ability to run. I haven't seen a quarterback this year do that consistently in the pocket. I've seen Cam Ward run around and extend plays and do it like that. But in terms of playing from the pocket, last week was the best game I've seen Shedeur Sanders play. And if that's his last game in college, listen, whoever's taking that first quarterback need to have him in consideration.
Well, I'm going to say this.
Go ahead.
When I've said that he is the best quarterback in the country, of course, everybody says, well, Reed Prime is your boy. I've been at Colorado so much. I've been at Jackson State. And to watch the way that he prepares, anything he does doesn't surprise me because I have seen him practice. I have seen him train. I've seen him work with his coaches. I've seen him stay out on the practice field 2 hours after practice is over, working on one throw or working on one read that they didn't get right at practice. So to me, every time I see him go in the game, my expectation is that he's going to deliver in those moments because I see him prepare for those moments over and over again, and that's kind of where I am. We got a comment here from 5-Star Talk with Clint Cosgrove, and what he says is, I'm impressed by Colorado, but because of their depth and Hunter's talent, he's got to go all game. At what point do you have to play him one way or situationally? Well, I would tell you this, probably when he gets to the National Football League. I think that he's proven at the collegiate level that he can carry that load and that he's in shape to do that load and that he wants it. Now, I know all of us football purists, Clint Cosgrove, you know, he was a college coach as well and a tremendous talent evaluator himself. I see Smoke and Kerry, they want to chime in on this with both of their backgrounds playing in the National Football League and high major college. I don't think that it's been an issue for Travis so far.
Well, Reed, let me finish up Colorado, and I'm gonna touch that real quick too. I don't see, and this is one of my biggest issues with Colorado. I don't see the young talent, and I don't see the depth in that because once those marquee players left, it's like a who's who and who's going to catch the ball and who's going to run the ball and who's on the block. They got a pro at left tackle. Other than that, it's tough. Now, if I'm the decision maker in Colorado, I have to now determine, do I want to, A, get my team the best chance to win 9 to 10 games? If that's the case, you have to now turn maybe to analytics and understand at what point does this go negative? for Travis Hunter if he plays every play. I think he should start on offense and defense. But you have to now be more calculated on how you use him, because looking at his frame and just look at the wear and tear, that shoulder injury that he took, that's just like banging. That's just constantly just getting hit. And you only have so many hits in you. So if I'm the one that's making the decision and the best thing for this young man, I'm going to say, hey, listen, we can play you on defense. And if we need to hide you, we'll take you out and play some zone, but we need to take you off for some of these plays. And on offense, you're only going to play 60% of the snaps anyway. And the 40 and out of the 40% that you're in, you're going to get the ball. But I don't think that wasting him, just running him around or just having him there, if you use him as a decoy, is good. But I think the wear and tear is catching up to him. And as you get into a game like this, if they would have beaten Kansas State and they've beaten Nebraska, now you can have a matchup with him and T-Mac going against each other, and that's what the world would want to see. And as right now, we don't know if we'll see that.
So, Kerry, do you think he can handle – what would you do about the both ways?
Well, I think it is like that. High school, we play both ways. I couldn't wait to get to college. I did not want to do that linebacker and running back, fullback, because it is a lot on your body. And I agree with Smoke. Like this, you have a limit. We all know. We don't know what that number is. It's like a car. When that odometer gets to a certain number, it's gonna stop. When your body gets to a certain number of hits, it's gonna say, yeah, enough is enough. So I don't know what that number is. None of us do, but it is a number that is there, and it's gonna happen at some point. I think situationally does make more sense if you put him in defensively in third. And I guess the main question is, what position is he playing at the next level? Like, where do GMs see him at? What do they see him as? Do they see him more as a receiver that can be, make an impact and help that offense go? Do they see him as a lockdown corner that you can put up against the number one, and we don't have to worry about that for the day? I guess that depends on where the GM see him. But for me, I probably would start to limit, because it's not just the hitting, it's the running. Like your legs start to get heavy. I know we don't practice as much during the week, which is fine because it's taking a load off of your legs. But
he practices.
Yeah, they say he don't practice as much.
He practices.
Like they take care of him in practice, which
he doesn't. They don't hit him, but he practices.
Right. You should take care of him. If I'm playing 140 snaps a game, please, thank you. I played 90 snaps against Wisconsin one year. I just wanted to sleep.
Ice pack on the back of your neck.
I called Prime after they beat North Dakota State, and I said, man, if anybody touches Shedeur Travis at practice, I want him kicked off the team.
Man, because you go through too much on Saturday to be playing games and messing around, Wednesday, Thursday during the week. Like, so for me, I would find a way to use him situationally. I think offensively, they have to have him out there. Defensively, you can find, certain down and distances is runs. I don't need him in there tackling running backs every. I want him to cover the best receiver in known passing downs and making sure we can get off the damn field. And you can go get you a squirt of water because offense is up next, my boy. We got to get back to it. So that would be me. Known passing downs, hey, you in. If it's running 1st and 10, hey, chill over here for a second.
As we get ready to
when we get back to it.
As we get ready to transition into the next topic, I just want y'all to keep in mind that he won a game for them with a tackle.
He did
on the goal line.
On the goal
line. To Kerry's point, though, Reed, that's a down distance time score. Hold on. Smoke, situational football, like, and I think to both of them, and I think they did a great job of spelling it out. Smoke, I can't wait to see T-Mac. I hope that somehow Travis is on that field. Those are my favorite two receivers, not named Luther Burden in the whole country. I can't wait to see those guys on Saturday. But I think when you start to talk about Travis's value, it becomes a law of averages, right? Like, I'm not a dice player. Reed, you know me well. I don't want to roll the dice. I don't want to go to the casino. I don't want to play anything in which the odds are stacked that gets me and not in my favor. And the more downs you play, the more chances you're taking. The hit that he took last year, Colorado State. the shoulder. Like those are just, at some point, it's just you're playing a lot. I love the car analogy. You don't know if you're a 300,000-mile Camry or if you're a 115 Corolla that's a limit. You don't know that. So being able to kind of limit and be smart with that, I think bodes really well for Travis in his future. That's kind of my take on it. And obviously Clint does a great job. I'm glad he's tuned in and watching. He's shown me a lot of love, even on some of the basketball stuff. So appreciate you tuning in, Clint.
So we're gonna transition off of the college football games. I got a topic. I got a spicy topic for y'all with some of the craziness that's going on in sports. And I'm gonna say football, but B, you also in the basketball world. And I'm gonna start this one with Kerry Davis. I'm gonna put this in Kerry's lap to begin with. Is youth football are we out of control? Coaches, parents, have we lost all control of what's going on in youth football?
100%, man.
Kerry Davis.
I don't know the areas that you all are in, but we got youth football programs playing 25, 30 games a year, man.
50 games.
Like a year. They might play 2 or 3 games on a weekend, like in a 2-day span. And so I think it's important. Number one, I'm gonna go to parents. Number one, you have no clue what your 7-year-old son is gonna be in 5 years. You have no clue what he's gonna be in 10 years. Like you don't know what he's going to be, in 2 years. So let him play. Let them learn the right way to play the game. Let them learn the fundamentals, how to tackle, how to not be afraid. When they turn 10, let them learn, what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. And I know they got all of these rankings. My son is the number 1 receiver, the number 1. That don't mean nothing because everyone's body changes as they go through puberty. Your son might be the fastest now, but he might be the smallest, shortest in 4 years. Like nobody knows. So the best thing you can do is teach these young players how to tackle properly so nobody gets hurt, how to play the game properly, understanding what to do and what not to do, how to show respect whether you win or lose. And for me, one thing I tell this to referees because I know a lot of parents get mad at the referees. No game, and I mean at any level, is won or lost off of one bad call. It doesn't matter if it's the last call of the game. It don't matter if it's the first call of the game. It is never lost on one bad call. So give them referees a little bit of grace because they are out there doing the best that they can do. Are they always perfect? Nope, but neither is your coach, and neither are you or I as parents. So give them a little grace, allow them to understand how the game is being played. But for me, youth football should be about teaching how to play the game without all the chaos, without all the anger and fighting. And you that mad about a 7U game? Like you are you really that mad about a 7-year-old game, bro? Stop it. Like it got to stop somewhere. So for me, just teach them young men, them young kids, young girls, if those are playing to teach them how to play the game properly and how to respect the game, because this game will give you a lot if you treat it and do it the right way. It can change your life. I am living proof. I think everybody on here that has played college sports and has played high school sports and has done it at a high level is living proof to that. It will change your life and change your trajectory if it's done correctly, but you got to give that to the game. And if you don't treat it right, it ain't going to treat you right. And it starts at home with the parents.
Smoke, you've been around football a long time as well.
He's shaking his head.
And this is a conversation that you and I have all of the time. I'm gonna go last on this one. I'm gonna let all y'all get y'all issue off.
Reed, you like the youth football commissioner of the world. you have the most insight on youth football than any human being I've ever met in my entire life. But this is what I would say about it, because I'm not that close to the youth circuit, but I do see the high school and the grassroots kids that come out of there. And they're coming up now to the college ranks, and now you're coming up to the pros. And what you're seeing is this bad sportsmanship. And for an example, Trayshawn Holden for Oregon spat on what's my man name from Ohio State, the cornerback. To me, I think that all starts when you are coming up in youth football. When you, like you just said, Kerry, you're not being taught the proper way how to respect your opponent. Regardless, you shake hands, win or loss. You say good game. You don't have to pick anybody up, but during the game and after the game, you have to have good sportsmanship.
Correct.
Now, you hear the parents outside the fences, and it's like a bull in the ring. The closer they get, it's going to happen. They get on top of the, man, coach, you can't talk to my son like that. Well, come pick your son up, because what I'm trying to teach him is something that you can't teach him. I'm trying to teach him how to listen to somebody that's not his dad, uncle, or cousin, another authority figure. So when you look at it, it's really more the adults that's ruining the experience for these young kids. Because if you play youth sports, you win some, you lose some, but every kid is just ready for the snack bag at the end of the game. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And if you're putting like, we gotta go play a team in Arkansas and you're in Texas, like, come on, just go win the game within your community and figure that out. You shouldn't have a travel 7U or 10U football team. You only have so many licks. I didn't play football and organized football until I got to high school. My parents couldn't afford it. And I love basketball and baseball. So if your son plays from the age of 7 to 17, that does not guarantee them a scholarship. And I've handed a bunch of them out.
I got one. Can I say one?
Go ahead. Say your piece.
Because you hit on something, playing other sports. Let your kid play other sports. Let your child play other sports. If you are only a D-back and that's the only workout you do, you're only training certain muscles. When you play basketball, you're training different muscles. When you play baseball, you're training different muscles. You need to be able to use all of those different muscles throughout your entire life. Otherwise, it's going to be overused. And backpedaling all the time, you're going to start to hurt certain issues, certain things on your body.
Growing's going to go. Your labrum's going to go. Right? Because you're just overusing it. I've never seen a kid like 7 years old. He's going to be the Deion Sanders. Like, what?
How do you know?
He's 7. Just let him go catch and play. And leave him alone. And don't tell me I need to train him. I'm not training anything other than let's play catch, eye hand, let's kick the ball, and let's do some simple movement drill. Let's go shoot. Let's learn how to bat. Let's go use a tennis racket, a golf club. Just teach your kids every important skill set that they need to have just so they can function. And once they can function and they tell you that they want to be competitive, and you got to see it now. You can't say, Dad, I'm ready to go play. No, I have to see you go out there, train, play, and want to compete in the worst situations and want to come out on top. Then I'll put some effort into what you got going on. But that's all I got for you, Reed.
B, you're a basketball guy. Do you see some of the craziness in basketball that we deal with in youth football?
It's all the same, man. Basketball's worse because there are more games being played. Every weekend I'm at an event and like somebody trying to fight the ref, fisticuff the ref. I mean, the
parents, man.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of it. Now I will say this, and I think y'all will feel me here. What we've turned youth sports into is a microcosm of the whole environment, sports talk, radio. You hear, I'm a Falcons guy, right? Don't let Raheem Morris and them lose. The call-ins is going crazy. Raheem is terrible. Fire the coach. Kirby Smart after Alabama. I mean, everybody, it's cool because it's the reason why sports is so popular. It's the reason why ESPN has 12 different channels, and there's ABC and ESPN News and and there's this show and that show. And first, Stephen A. Smith has made a lot of money off the Dallas Cowboys, and they ain't been good since Michael Irvin, right? Like, because it's entertainment. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, especially to your point, Smoke, about the finances, for a lot of people, this becomes family vacation. It's both their kids, just the journey with their kids, and vacation rolled into one. So I think there are a lot of different underlying factors to it. I agree about the 7U stuff. I'm going a level deeper here as to why we're getting a lot of the hostility toward the officiating, toward the other parents. People are spending a lot of money in these spaces. It is their entertainment. Things start going left. And unlike, if you're watching your favorite college team, if it goes left, you probably still don't wild out. You might be a little disappointed, a little mad, but it's not also your child, right? So there are all these different emotions happening at once. And people are having a hard time separating it. It's different to kind of watch it from, an event operator standpoint, a club program director standpoint, a voting member of multiple committees. It's sad, right? I think that's the first word I want to use, maybe a little frustrating. I understand why it's happening. I don't agree with it, but I understand. And I think just getting people back to what this is supposed to be, which is smoke, is the Capri Sun and the zebra cake and the oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah.
Look, if you gave me the cherry Capri Sun, you couldn't tell me nothing. The rest. Hey, how'd you play? Hey, I was 1 for 5 with a stolen base. This cherry Capri Sun hitting, boy. And I think we've kind of lost our way because for a lot of the adults in the community, this is what they talk about the rest of the week. My baby or my nephew or my, whatever, right?
He's the one. He's the one.
He's the next one. And maybe sometimes that's true. I live in a community in the Beaufort City District where, Isaiah Bond is playing at a really high level. KJ Bolden playing at a high level. Like, we got some dudes, Dylan, Raiola out in Nebraska, man. Reed, your guy. Those guys are playing at pretty high level. So we've got some guys from the city that really go when they do it. But those guys, they were pretty good young. You could tell they were a little different. They weren't having to play 7U tournaments every weekend to prove they were different. Travis Hunter was at the LA Fitness down the street from me, literally dunking on people's heads. There was a reason he was the #1 guy. He just was really good at this, right? So him backpedaling every weekend at 7U didn't help him. He just was nice. And so I think not losing sight of that, it's cool to give your kid experiences. One of my buddies has 3 kids that's playing in the Beaufort City stuff now. And he's pretty mellow. Him and his wife will kind of chill, kind of sit off to themselves. But some of the stuff that you hear from the stands, man, people be literally wilding out like, yo, y'all kind of relax. So it hurts my heart to watch that. Folks be going crazy. And every day on World Star, there'll be some clip about a referee getting jumped or beat. It's crazy out here, dog. And that's basketball and football.
Hey, B, before Carl kills this entire segment. He's been waiting for this one. This is what I use these. I'm like you. If I show up to an event, my daughter, I just sit in the corner. I don't say nothing. But I hear these parents, and they're the ones saying, man, my son can't even do this and can't do that. He should be out here killing. And I usually look at him like, we're the same age. Where were you at when we were playing? Like, you weren't one of them dudes.
Yeah.
So you weren't one of them. How you going to create one? Just let them have fun just like you did, because I don't ever remember you playing. And if you did, I still don't remember you. So you weren't a player. You didn't affect the game. So how is your son going to affect it or daughter going to affect the game now? This thing's genetics as well, too, fellas.
Come on, man.
I done been to a few of them peace jams, and I done seen a bunch of them kids that should be having their hand in the dirt. They should be playing tight end.
Okay. Time out. This is great. Hold on.
In, my boy.
Carrie, hold up. I'm coming to this point, and then we can move on. I love this. So, Carl Smoke, we talk about Kate Harper a good bit on this show, right? Arguably the best 26 in the country. Her brother, great example. Again, Matt Harper played in the NBA for a decade. Iverson, the whole 9.
Yeah.
Her brother has 2 catches for 40 yards and a big win for Georgia Tech. Her brother was a good basketball player at Marist. All-state level guy, 6'4", 225, good size. He immediately goes to college and plays tight end. They don't even try the college basketball thing. Luke, you're better built to play tight end. I call him George Kittle. I always tell you a young George Kittle. That's my guy. Shout out to Luke Harper. But, Kerry, to your point, so many of those guys in that 6'2" to 6'5" range who really are 3 or 4 hybrids at the basketball level need to go be Antonio Gates. Go be Tony Gonzalez. And I know Tony obviously was a really good basketball player too at Cal, but y'all see where I'm going. Right. At some point, he was better suited to play on Sunday than to play basketball. Absolutely, right? So at some point, you run into that space where you're better suited for your next move to be your best move and take it to Sundays, right? Or in the case of some of these college athletes, your best move is your next move, and you take it to Saturday afternoons, you play for Brent Key at Georgia Tech. So I wanted to make sure I spotlighted Luke Harper coming off a really good game, just to the point that you're making, for making a really quality decision for himself, not forcing the round ball, but going out there and being a star for a Georgia Tech team that might be one of the 25 best in the country. They got a big game with Marcus Freeman coming up on Saturday.
Dad was a player.
I can appreciate you plugging the home team, Georgia Tech. You normally just come on here and talk about Georgia, and you act like Georgia Tech and Georgia State and those schools don't.
Hey, Kenyatta Watson, shout out to Georgia State, man. We see what's going on, man.
Yeah, so I
Reed, since Bama bust him up in the first quarter, I haven't heard from my dog.
yeah.
Hold up, hey, I'm still, I was great. I came on the show. I gave the respect that it was due. Alabama was fantastic. One of the best quarters of football, unfortunately, the wrong way for us. Jalen Milroe looked like a Heisman Trophy winner, and he didn't look like 1-6.
We not finna do that.
Hey, I'm a Jalen Milroe guy. It's cool, man. Hey, Reed, give us your take though on youth football, youth sports. You got CR3 playing? What you seeing right now, man?
Well, if you're a youth sports coach and you watching us, or you see the replay of this, or on any social media segment, I just got really one thing to say to you: knock it off. Knock it off. Listen. You know good and well them babies not supposed to be playing 30, 40, and 50 football games. You know good and well them babies not supposed to play 4 and 5 games in a weekend. And Kerry, I know they're going to all blow me up and they're going to say, but Reed, it was a running clock, right? It was a running clock. He only carried the ball 6 times in each game, so it still only equaled out to 24 carries. You had no business doing that to those kids. And then I was a high school coach for 22 years. And with as much football as these guys played, they still came in. They didn't know how to put their pads in their pants right. Still.
It is ridiculous.
They don't understand what the 2, the 4, the 6 hole is, the 1, the 3, the 5. They don't know the difference between cover 3, cover 2, cover 4. They don't know how to run fit. They don't know what a 1 tech is, a 3, a 7, a 9, a 5, a odd, or even. So you got them playing all these games.
And ain't teaching them nothing.
And my thing is, what are we doing? Besides the ego of you winning on social media, what are you preparing them for? What are you preparing them for? You know? And so one of the epidemics that we had is we talk about the devaluing of really 2 positions. Everybody talks about the running back position, right? But the linebacker is also being devalued as well. Well, those are the 2 positions in Little League that the best player carries the ball 30 times a game, and then he goes and plays middle linebacker. The wear and tear that you're putting on those kids, and I can tell you that most of the time, the guys that I saw were the greatest youth players in high school. A lot of them burnt out and were very mediocre players at the high school level, with the exception of a few. So my thing is, as parents, you have to have some common sense when people who actually play the game are telling you this is not the best thing physically for your kid. It's definitely not the best thing mentally, emotionally. And I'm going to end it with this, on this part of it. Anybody that would put your son in 30, 40, 50 football games in a year, or in 4, 5, 6 games in a weekend, doesn't care about your kid. They don't care about, I don't care how mad they get. They don't care about your kid if they do that to your kid. And they have no regard for what happens to them after the point that youth football is over. So the next thing I'm going to go into, guys, right? Oh, I got a good question here. It's a good question. A guy on Instagram that's watching us asked, is flag football a good alternative? So I'll start this and then I'll put a smoking carrot. I think it is, because if you're talking about going to college, football is one of those games that you really could go in and play as a 9th grader, as a 10th grader. I had a kid that was playing soccer up until the 11th grade, and he came in as an 11th and 12th grader and got a Division I scholarship. Football is still one of those sports where you can do that if you got height, length, speed, you know, your ability to run around. I don't think that you have to play tackle football at the youth level. You can get lucky if Kerry's son or Smoke's son or my son, guys who really know what they're doing, happen to be coaching. You can get lucky and find the right group. There are, and I don't want to disparage everybody, there are some good youth football coaches out there that take care of kids, but the overwhelming majority they're not. And I haven't even gotten into the fights at the games, the shootings of coaches, the shootings of parents, I saw a video where a kid was hitting kids on the other team with a belt after they beat them, and the things that adults, right, are allowing and letting kids do. It's like then when they go to college and they have issues, they have behavioral issues, or they have lack of functioning issues, or they don't know how to communicate, how to speak, how to handle things like that. Where did they get it from? Go back to where it originated, because we grew up at a time when you just wasn't allowed to carry on like that. And what I tell a lot of guys I grew up with that I see coaching youth football, your coaches didn't let you act like that.
No.
And you know that.
So I think flag football is a great alternative choice. I like Smoke said, he didn't start playing football till high school. I didn't start playing till 7th grade. We had a weight limit. I couldn't make the weight. I was a bigger kid. I played the offensive line my first 2 years, 7th and 8th grade. Like I was on the O-line. And when I got to high school, I moved to the backfield. But I think it's a great alternative if you're learning how to play the game right. There are things that you do in flag that you can carry over to regular football, how to form, how to fit up, how to pull the flag properly, not just running around, wildly and pulling flag, but actually fitting people up and forcing, keeping them same leg, same shoulder, like doing the things correctly when you're fitting up on the tackle. All of these things can translate into regular football. And also the pass catching, running routes, being a passer, knowing how to throw the ball and when to throw the ball on time, on target. So all of those things can help you with flag football. I think that's a great alternative. I have had people ask me in the past, because I got kids that I coached for 6 years. I just resigned last year. I've had parents, well, what he got offers off of his flag football tape. No, ma'am, he probably does not. I'm sorry if that's what you believe, but in order to get an offer that is going to be official and be real, he gonna have to put some pads on. He gonna have to show up with some pads on and some game film, because that is what it's going to require if you want to play at Michigan, at Ohio State, at Alabama, at Illinois. Like if you want to play that level, you have to put some pads on to show somebody you can take a hit or give a hit and get up and go do it again. So I think the flag football alternative is awesome, especially for younger kids that love the game, that are learning the game. And again, we talked about saving those hits, saving that mileage on your body. It limits that. It allows you to learn the game properly, play the game at a high level if you're able to, and not have to take those hits until it's really time for it.
Reed, this is what 7-on-7 done for the whole entire for the game of football. We're seeing the best crop of quarterbacks come through right now because they've thrown so many balls. They've played, and this is where I say the 7-on-7 helped, because you play so many games in the weekend that when we were coming out, Kerry, and Carl wanted to run the wing T, that kid only probably threw the ball 80 times his entire career in high school. So now you're seeing where the Shedeur Sanders, with the Dylan Gabriels, with the Quinn Ewers, the Carson Becks, those kids have been playing since they were 10 years old, throwing every single route, understanding what timing is, understanding how to throw with anticipation, touch, have poise, understand what the pocket feels like. There aren't players in there, but you understand how to move and navigate and use your eyes to manipulate the coverage. Now you flip it on to the receivers. Like, receivers are running NFL caliber routes. They're catching balls. The more you catch, the better you get. The more routes you run, the better understanding that you have of the passing game with warm bodies around you. Yeah, you're not going to get hit, but most of the time, the contact when we used to play coming across the middle, getting blown up, it's already gone anyway. They're playing flag any daggone way. And then when the DBs, you're covering so much, you're now understanding how to cover, how to play the ball in the air, understanding what cover 3 is, what cover 3 match is, what one lurk is, what cover 2 is, what 2-man is, what cover 6 is. So it's advancing these young people's concept and understanding of football at a higher level. So I would say, yes, do as many 7-on-7 that you can possibly do, with the understanding that at some point, like you said, Kerry, those pads got to come on. And when they come on, you'll be at an advantage over everybody else because you understand the fundamentals of passing, catching, defending the pass, understanding pass concept as an offensive player, and understanding how to play pass coverage as a defender, linebackers, and the secondary players.
So, guys, I want to go into something else. And this is important because this is a conversation that comes up a lot. A lot of college players call me, as you know, Smoke and Kerry, about should they go in the transfer portal. Brandon, you know, I get hundreds of these calls a week. I've had 17 calls from parents and players just today gauging the transfer portal. And I'm gonna start this with Smoke because for you guys who are just joining in, guys, we got 1,400 people watching us live right now across all networks. If you got any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll try to get your question answered here on the show. So, from a standpoint of recruiting and transfer portal, for you guys that don't specifically know Smoke's background, Smoke played at Alabama, went to the NFL. He was a front office personnel in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills, director of recruiting at Vanderbilt in the SEC, general manager at Maryland in the Big Ten. Okay. Kerry Davis, my high school teammate, state champion, Big Ten champion at the University of Illinois, and a Super Bowl champion as a starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brandon Clay is a member of the McDonald's All-American Committee, has one of the top AAU programs in the nation, and is a voting member for the McDonald's All-American game. So you got a lot of guys up here who've dealt with recruiting and have dealt with kids at all levels of playing both football and basketball. My question, and one of the things I get, Smoke, when you are when you were talking about playing time and you're in the office and you're determining who's going to start and who's not, does where a kid come from or the high school program he comes from or who he knows or who his dad is or who his high school coach is, does that really come into play, Smoke? Does politics ever take over when you're dealing with playing time at the collegiate level?
Yeah, both things can be true. I think if you're at a bad school and you're getting beat a ton, yeah, that might come up. But if you're at one of the elite schools and you're about winning, the best plays. So I think that's where the players that aren't playing, they typically form up in groups and then they start making up reasons of why. And one of the reasons why that most guys say, well, I'm not playing because, yeah, he's from Georgia and he's a Georgia kid and I'm from Tennessee and they will play the Georgia player for, well, listen, Kirby trying to win. All of us are coached and we've all been competitive. I don't care who your cousin is. If you aren't helping me to win a game, either a basketball, baseball game, or what have you, you got to be a complete idiot to play your son knowing that you're going to lose when the other guy over there gives you an opportunity to win. So, yes, on bad teams and bad programs, it possibly does happen. But at real schools that you're trying to win games, yeah, I'm going to say the best players play.
Yeah, I would back that as well. I think, even no matter what level, I tell people, I would tell my parents, I want to win. Like I want to win. I want all my kids to go to Alabama. I said, if I'm selfish, wouldn't I want all the kids to go to Tennessee, Alabama, LSU? Like that make me look good if I'm really about myself. Like you want to put the best players out there. You want to play. And Smoke, you hit a very good point. You talk about the kids grouping up and trying to figure out why they're not playing instead of saying, I need to be better. I would tell my parents, when I coach high school, and I think this really goes for all levels. Your son is playing or not, is not playing for one or two reasons. It's either he does not know what he's doing or someone's better than him. Like, that's it. Like, it's that simple. I'm not putting somebody out there that don't know what they're doing because they're going to get somebody hurt. I've seen it at all levels. Right. I've seen people get harmed, get broken arms, legs, collarbones, because the person doesn't know what they're doing. So why would I put you out there if you don't know what you're doing? Number one. And number two, I'm not putting somebody out there that's not better than the person that's in front of them. Your job is to be the best version of yourself and beat out. It's competition. And we have this thing, especially at the lower level, where we don't want to compete no more. But everybody on this call and everybody that's tuned in, if you have a job, you probably had an interview, and you probably had multiple people that they interviewed, which is called competition. They chose you because your resume, your interview was the best one for the job. So that was competition. You compete in every walk of life. So if your kid not competing and he's not able to beat out somebody, then they're not going to play. And that's at any sport, in any level. And that's just the way life goes. You have to be willing to compete. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to be the best person in order to make that team and to make that spot and to earn that spot. No, ain't no coach gonna sacrifice their own career because they don't like you and you the best player. Now, if you doing stuff off the field or off the court, hey, we got to go in a different direction because you are a detriment to what we're trying to build here. But if you are a good student, you take care of your business, you show up on time, you work your butt off, and you one of the best players, you dang on right you're going to play. Because why wouldn't you? So it's internally like doing the things that are correct in order to make sure you are getting that spot that you feel that you deserve.
Brandon, what's your take on from the basketball world?
I mean, and honestly, we roll. This is my kind of weather, man. It's a little crisp outside here tonight in Georgia. I'm gonna stick with the football. I feel good tonight, right? You talk about. I think it can go both ways, right? I think sometimes, are you sitting in a room as a coaching staff saying, "Hey, we want to penalize this kid because he did not go to Bishop Gorman or Buford"? No, you're not. But I do think sometimes you give those kids the nod or the edge, right? Or you give the shiny new toy the edge. I think going back to the Dillon Gabriel situation, Dillon Gabriel's been significantly better and more productive than Jackson Arnold. Sometimes you just miss on the read, right? You're not trying to kill the kid. That's not what your room is doing. And sometimes you just need a fresh start. So I think there's a combination. I think Smoke hit it. He said bad program, good program, but I'd take it a step further and just say sometimes maybe you've been somewhere a little too long. Heck, nobody in Athens wanted Stetson Bennett to play. Mm-hmm. As a Georgia fan, none of us were clamoring for Stetson Bennett to be the savior. Oh, man, you got to put Stetson. And Stetson just kind of wound up in, and he just kept producing. At some point, we all kind of looked around, even after the first championship, and I think we still were kind of like, yo, we can't get somebody better than him. and now you miss Stetson Bennett, right? And I think just if we do that as fans, you have to still sometimes give coaches leniency too. Sometimes you can have somebody in front of you and you can still miss the eval, right? So, I think it goes both ways. I don't think you're trying to sabotage anybody. I don't think that you're sitting in the room, I can't stand this kid. But some of the background and the pedigree and maybe the lack thereof, the lack of the flashy school, the lack of the flashy name, the lack of the flashy stature. Stetson Bennett's built like I am. 6 foot, $180. He belonged at the frat party on Friday night. He's not 6'4", 220. So you're trying to replace him with Vandergriff, but Stetson's putting up Heisman level candidacy worthy numbers. Why would you ever replace him? And so I think just trying to balance all that out, Reed. Some of the relationships matter, some of your pedigree matters, but at the end of the day, and this is a smokeism, production matters. Who's producing? Who's putting up the numbers? Reed, who's putting wins on the board? And so I think balancing all that, I don't think that it's a conspiracy theory often, especially at the places where they're winning consistently. But I also think that just continuing to reevaluate properly your own players, your own people inside the building, that goes for coaches as well, helps from some of the things that you see happen when a Gabriel leaves. And now he's at the top of the food chain, so to speak, and Oklahoma struggling a little bit at the quarterback position this season.
So listen, I'm going to say this because you touched on something. Sometimes there is coaches that don't like kids. Yeah. And kids don't get played because people don't like them. Absolutely. And I think that there's something that kids do have to understand. If you're being difficult to deal with, especially if you don't know what you're doing, like Kerry touched on, there can be situations where you wouldn't play, especially when you got to play situational football, because situational football becomes such a mental exercise, in terms of can you think and do I feel like you can think things through. But there are great football players everywhere, right? When you talk about the University of Georgia, Brock Bowers has been the best player at Georgia for their championship run. He's from California, so if you look deep into who's winning and who's playing at programs that win, I think Smoke is right. It's just guys that the best players are going to play because winning is just at stake. And I'm gonna tell you this quick little story, and then we're gonna move on to our last topic. When I was a high school coach, my mother-in-law had a birthday party the same night that we had the jamboree. So my sons were on the team, a couple of my nephews were on the team. So we went to the jamboree, finished it, and then everybody went to my mother-in-law's birthday party. But I held one of my nephews back. I said, "You need to ride with me," right? And I rode with him to the birthday party. And on the drive, I said to him, "You're not playing very well. And if you don't play better, if you don't come in on Monday and start doing the extra things you need to do to be a better player for the team, I'm going to have to bench you." And it's going to make Labor Day uncomfortable. Kerry could tell you, it's legendary barbecues. It's going to make it uncomfortable. It's going to make Thanksgiving uncomfortable. But we're going to really be uncomfortable if we lose, and it's because of you. You have got to perform. You've got to produce. There's too much at stake, and there's too many other people that we're responsible for. We cannot lose a football game because, of one guy's effort or lack thereof, or his lack of commitment to what we're trying to do. So that's kind of my take on that. And so what I tell players, if you want to go in the transfer portal, just think about it. But before you blame it on somebody else, look at the man in the mirror and make sure that your game was tight. So, guys, this is the last one. And every week, Smoke says something to me that I find to be ridiculous, right? or that I say, man, if you say that in front of somebody else, they're going to call you crazy, right? Smoke, this is my question to you. I'm going to ask, well, it's not a question for Smoke. It's a question for the group. But I'm going to tell you what Smoke said, right? In the NIL era, can a great player outweigh the value of a coach? And should that player get paid more than the coach? And I'm going to let Smoke explain himself first, so everybody has the real context of what he's saying here.
So this is what I'm saying. And this is the case-by-case scenario because it's not for everyone. But here goes my example that I'm going to use right now. The Miami Hurricanes. Let's say Cam Ward is getting $1.5 million this year in terms of his NIL. Has Cam Ward not outplayed that amount? And should he not get the $10 million that Coach Cristobal is getting and flip Cristobal back to 1.5? Kerry, I know you looked up. But here's what I'm going to say about coaches, right? If you aren't a play caller as a head coach, the value that you have has been diminished because you're not raising money anymore. You're not going around kissing babies and going to the golf outings to raise the money. You are there to manage the coaches, manage 6 minutes of a game. You aren't doing that much to earn the $10 million if you're the one that's also screwing up the last 6 minutes of the game and holding your team back, which we've seen. So if there's a guy that can come in, win games for you single-handedly, I do believe that you deserve a lump sum more salary than your head coach does at this current moment. Not everyone, but I would say Jalen Milroe at Bama should be getting more than that guy at Bama. And I would say Cam Ward, yes. Shedeur Sanders, yes. And you can keep on rolling with the rest of the guys that's helping their team win in spite of who the coach is. And I'm not knocking none of those coaches. I'm just saying those guys are playing at a level. If you remove them, you aren't winning at this high clip. So as a coach, what are you really going to pay?
I think as a coach, man, as a head coach, I think you do so much more. There are so many things that you are doing to keep the program going in the direction. As a coach, you coaching your players, but you're also coaching your coaches. You're trying to get the best version of your program from everybody involved. I don't think that would happen at a place like Miami or a place like, Colorado, but maybe at a lower level, non-Power 5 school where the coach isn't making as much. Maybe you have a quarterback that is making more, but I don't see a situation where you get a college quarterback making $8 million and the head coach making $3 million.
He's not asking you if you see that happening. He's
Do I see that it should happen?
He's asking you, do you think that the player is worth more than the coach?
Because I think at the same time, I mean, let's flip it to the NFL. Players make more than the coaches there.
And that works.
It does work. It does. There's a salary cap. There are more players on the roster that are making more than the coach.
Yes,
I agree.
That's why it works.
Yeah. Does it?
Yes.
It works for them. I agree. But I don't know.
This is what college football is getting to. A salary cap with players that are more valuable.
If there is a salary cap, if there is money that is allocated to a certain set of money, we're gonna have whatever that number is, and we can allocate these funds how we see fit. If that works, then I mean, I guess I would have no problem with it. Right now, I can't see that happening in the way that you're describing. I just don't see it happening. I don't see somebody paying more for the quarterback than they would for the coach. Because
can I ask you a question, Kerry?
Okay, so let me ask you this: How do you guarantee that quarterback, is this a 1 year renewable deal? Is he going to stay after this year, or is he going to leave and go elsewhere to get more money? Like, how do you prevent that part? Is it a contract? Is it a 2-year deal where you're gonna make $8 million a year and he's definitely guaranteed to be here for those 2 years?
Just like everything else in college football is one and done. Someone just popped up something right here. Joe Burrow at LSU. Do you take Ed Orgeron or Joe Burrow at LSU?
I take Joe Burrow.
Burrow. And I'm paying Joe whatever Ed was getting, and I'm winning the championship. Do you take Cam Ward or do you take Mario Cristobal right now at Miami?
I'm taking Cam Ward.
Okay, so what if you're the AD and Cam says I want $8
What are you going to do after this year if you don't win a national championship?
I ain't talking about next year. I'm talking about right now.
No, but
Kerry, let's play devil's advocate.
That's the thing you have to do when you are running a program. It can't be solely based on year to year. You have to plan for the future, 3 to 5 years. You can't be solely focused on the one season. We're gonna win a national championship this year, and if you don't, and now what you doing?
Kerry, can I explain something to you?
Go ahead.
I don't know how much Joe Burrow got at LSU, but I know that Ed Orgeron broke out with some M's.
Whoa.
Right? Just hear me out. Just hear me out.
No, time out. Before you say that, you just said you don't know what we wasn't doing NIL when Joe Burrow was playing.
Hey man, they've been doing NIL in Baton Rouge for a long time, my boy.
Hey, listen. Kerry, let me get back to what I'm saying.
You gotta say allegedly after you say stuff like that.
So let me get back to what I'm saying.
Hey, Smoke, real quick. They was putting the $100 bills under the beignets.
So Kerry, let me ask you a question, right? Hypothetically speaking, you're the money guy, the AD, the president of the University of Miami right now, and you at the fourth game where Cam could say, you know what, I'm going to take a red shirt and I'm going to the league, or else. Do you not say, you know what? And there's an option of just hold on. This year, we're not talking about the future. We're talking about right now. As of right now, if you flip the two salaries, and Mario Cristobal says, if you give me 1.5, I'm leaving, or Cam Ward said, if you don't give me $10 million, I'm leaving. Which one do you take? And you're the AD. You're
talking about for 1 year, but
that's all I'm talking about. That's all I'm talking about right now.
But here's the thing. Here's my thing, and because you've been in these, you were the football operations, correct? Like
general manager. This is the
general manager. Your job is not solely based on one season. You have to plan for the. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I get what you're saying.
No. Just tell me.
Answer the question so we can get through it.
I did answer it. No, I cannot mortgage my entire future for one season when I don't know what's going to happen for sure.
I can tell you what is going to happen. If Cam Ward says I'm not playing next week, yeah, you're going to go back to a guy that's going to hand the ball off with 5 seconds left or a minute left.
If you that was your decision, keep him after that happened.
Okay,
like
Hey, hold up. Okay.
It turns the ball over and you lose the game.
Hold on. Listen. This is an elite hypothetical. Here's why.
It's not
I
a
agree.
regular day.
Hold on. You're gonna take Cam Ward. You're gonna pay Cam Ward. That's what you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
But you now are held at. This is at the end of week 4. You were held hostage. There's a company that will remain nameless that changes the NIL valuation of guys from week to week by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Can you imagine renegotiating contracts? And like the Western kid after the Hail Mary with Shador. I go back in and re-tear up his contract and redo the contract.
Yeah.
And then the next week he goes for 0 catches on 2 targets.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. You guys are taking every fly-by-night kid. This is a once.
No.
And this is what you're getting. Let me give you one. All right. And I'm gonna shut both y'all up. Cam Newton. Cam Newton at 1 year says, I want Gene Chizik's contract or else. What are you both y'all saying?
This is before the year. This is the
timing matters.
I need
This is
to
really
know
what we're saying. The
I
timing matters.
when this is happening before the season, because your first scenario was week 4. How do I know it's not going to happen again week 1 of the playoffs? And he want more money. And he go, because if you continue to bend the knee every time somebody comes to you and tells you got to give them something, you're not going to have nothing, Smoke.
I'm not, Kerry. This is what you're trying to make this into like the perfect scenario.
No, I'm not talking demands. That's all we're asking.
This is a case by case scenario. No, I'm not going. Hold tight. I'm not going to mortgage my entire team every single time a good player comes and says, I need more. But when they are, the reason why you win because of, this is playing with Ben Roethlisberger, Patrick Mahomes. The reason why everyone walks through that building with their chest up like this and feeling real good about them is because the trigger man, whatever he wants. And if it's flipping the contract of a coach, my head coach, and giving it to him, I'm going to say, hey, head coach, listen, you ain't that good anyway.
I probably not. So when you say it, because
I've been a coach.
I would say no, because what you're doing is setting precedent, and you're setting precedent for the next person to come do the same thing and over and over and over again. So now it can't happen.
Players over coaches. That's all I'm saying.
No question.
So why wouldn't you play the player?
You're talking about setting the precedent of paying somebody week 4 or at the beginning of the season. Let's flip your contract. The next person that's as good or that thinks they're as good is going to do the same thing.
Well, that's where they pay you, the decision maker, the money. And that's where you say, hey, get out of my face because you aren't as good as Cam Newton. And you're not going to win games for me. You aren't
Reed's face is classic right now.
You can't win games for me.
I see why Reed said this is a topic.
Hey, listen, bro. Listen, we have these type of conversations almost daily. He says some of the most ridiculous things, but I will say this: I'm a total players coach.
Yeah.
Players over coach. I used to tell my assistant coaches, you got to work the issues out with the players because I'm going to replace you and not them. You know, we live in a players world, and if Miami doesn't have Cam Ward right now, they're not undefeated for sure.
Oh,
right.
And I'll say this, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Smoke, I agree with you. I just wanted some more parameters on like what I was like. Hey man, okay? Colorado's a great example. I think this year because they have so many players, right? Miami's a little different, but Colorado I think is a great example. Should we flip Shador and Deion's check in week 4, but then Travis Hunter wants to check flipped in week 6, and then you know what I mean? Like you keep going through the 3 or 4 guys of consequence.
There aren't 3 or 4. All I'm saying to you is this: if Shador
got 2.
Right, if Shador
they got 3.
Right, if Shador Sanders is not at Colorado, how many games are they winning?
What about Travis Hunter, who calls the
What about him? Somebody got to give him the ball. What about him?
Now you can go lock down somebody up on defense.
Man, you ain't seen him lock nobody down like that.
I'm just saying. He's a player.
Yeah. See, that man's hey, Carl. He's a legend in positions like Pee Wee Kirkland.
Whoa. You listen. We're not gonna make the show another hour.
No, I'm not. It's real simple. Who have you seen him lock down?
I gotta go look at the tape.
Yeah, go do that.
He got some big interceptions. I gotta watch the tape.
I never said anything
know
about
his
his
way.
elite ball skills. He has elite ball production. But who have you seen him go out there and the cameras on him say, hey, listen, that's a marquee top 5 wide receiver. Go get him.
We're gonna see it on Saturday when they go.
I saw it
Alabama.
against Stanford.
Oh, that's a year ago. If you kissed a girl last year, can you feel it today? That's a year ago.
It happened, and it can happen again.
Hey,
This
listen.
is great.
So that's all I'm saying. The quarterback is the reason why a generational quarterback or a win because of quarterback, whatever you want, I'm giving it to you. If you just a guy that comes and you're okay, yeah, we all understand that. But you talk about Cam Ward, Joe Burrow, Cam Newton. Those are once in a lifetime type of situations. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that every single starting quarterback in America deserves this. But when you are that guy, and the reason why we are winning at this high clip, the head coach, you can get up out of here.
So does Stetson Bennett not qualify for that? Because we talked
Absolutely not.
He qualifies. That means you better put some respect on Spencer Bennett's name, boy.
Again, guys,
Two-time champion.
You gonna tell him he don't?
Listen to me. If Stetson Bennett didn't play at Georgia, Georgia still wins at minimum one championship.
Absolutely not.
Whoa!
Absolutely not.
Come on,
This is
bro.
my
I'm
thing.
good.
Stetson Bennett was awesome.
Hey, listen.
As someone who didn't even want Stetson Bennett to play quarterback,
Stop.
I was
Stetson,
all against Stetson Bennett. He was fantastic.
You
I don't
guys
hear
are
anything
missing
about
the
it. He was great.
conversation. You guys,
I hear you.
You want to poke holes into like the simple starting good quarterback in college football. There's a bunch of them, but everyone is not the reason why you are winning.
I don't want Miller Moss from USC on those Georgia teams. I don't want Drew Allen from Penn State on those Georgia teams. Stetson Bennett was an elite college quarterback in Athens. Period. The end.
Yeah,
Man runs.
Listen,
yeah, he was awesome.
No disrespect, B, but I'm done listening to you about football if you say that again. Like you can't say.
He was dope. He was dope. Period.
Good.
Period.
He was a good college quarterback.
Period.
I'm not saying
Period.
that. But if you took Cam Newton away from that Georgia team, from that Auburn team, yeah, how many games did they win?
6
at best.
Yeah.
So if Cam comes to you and say, hey, listen, bro, I need 8 M's. You're gonna say, hey, Cam, yeah, Gene's getting it. You're gonna say, hey, Gene, done. Come on, give me that. You take this 200 and just be happy. Cause just get on this bus with the rest of us, and we're gonna ride Cam all the way through. And that's what they did. So I'm saying, if there's a special player that's there, special one, yeah, you pony up and you say, yeah, you can have that.
I get your point.
Joe Burrow played with Jamar Chase, man. Like, don't hold Jamar Chase.
No. I'm telling you, no.
So listen, hey guys, last thing,
the whole team there.
Last thing, then we out of here. We got a question from Kevin Stokes Coach Stokes that I got to put up here. Great show tonight. Oh, he gave us $9.99. Kerry, I could pay you back that $10 I owe you. Now,
Man, been waiting on it for about 2 years, man.
Hey, great show tonight. What are your thoughts on Utah quarterback Cam Rising being granted playing an 8th year of college football? I think it's ridiculous, and he needs to let the sport go.
I'm good. Like Reed, where I look at it is there's 17-year-olds in college. Like you playing against a 23, 25-year-old grown up. I don't think that's fair. After 5 years, get up and go, bro. The gig's up. Good college quarterback, sensational when he plays. Is just a system guy, but in terms of getting 9 or 10 years in college, bro, it's a wrap, man. You can't get that many degrees.
The tight end from Miami, I think, is a 9th year. I came in with Justin Herbert at Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember his name.
I know you're talking about.
I do think it's a bit ridiculous when you've been there 6, 7, 8, 9 years in college. I don't know what the mindset is in terms of what the future is. We all know this though. In fairness to that young man, at some point football ended for all of us. sports ends for all of us. If I had a choice, bro, if I could lace it up, I would. My body said no. You know what I'm saying? My body like, nah, you shouldn't do that no more. So when you still can, you should. So I
Not
can't,
in college though. But listen,
I can't knock him for wanting to continue to play the game.
Yeah, I guess.
okay.
I seen a Reed. You know what this equates to? You know when when you finish playing, like when I wanted to not practice anymore.
Oh yeah.
That's when I knew that I was like, yeah, it's over, Smoke. Don't even do it. You dread going to practice. But then when you finish up and you see a couple of your homeboys that you played high school ball with that probably went to JUCO or community college, and they're playing like semi-pro ball.
Oh, don't get me started on.
And you looking at them dudes like, bro, you can't like you
You mean
getting hit that
37?
hard.
You mean 37
game,
and under?
baby.
37 years?
So that's why I look at Cam Rising. I'm like, he's that old head that still wants to play semi-pro ball and play for. And he's paying for the equipment. He's paying for everything, and it's like, man, I just love it. Like, you love getting hit that hard? Nah,
Hey,
bro.
Reed, this is why I gotta shout out the boy Chris Winkie back in the day, man. They putting up the numbers with the ages, man. So
26.
and listen, if the NCAA don't keep granting them eligibility, who am I to tell them not to collect that NIL, man? Get every dollar you can. To your point, Kerry, at some point here, sooner than later, Cam Rising will never get another check to be on the football roster. Right now he is, and if they'll give it to him, hey, he probably making a better living than all four of us combined right now out there in Salt Lake
doubt
City.
about
Listen, 8 years playing college football, man. You know, maybe he just ain't ready to leave, man. Ain't
With the checks they're getting now, Reed, I would never leave if I could stay, man.
Hey, listen. Coach Stokes right here say, you know, he's still attending college parties. Hey,
Yeah, you gotta be careful out there.
You better be careful, bro. There's a 17-year-old.
Hey, they not like us.
Hey, listen, no, for real, for me, 8 years, that's almost a decade, bro. It's over with.
It's over.
It's over with. It's over with.
It's a done deal.
It's a done deal. The football is over. You know, I hear he's a great kid though, so you don't want to disparage him. Listen, we're gonna get out of here shortly. Hey, I just got somebody asked me this in a text message. And I wasn't prepared to really get into this and talk about this on the show. Somebody asked me this though. Why am I the only one on here that's not bald headed?
Hey, I thought about when we first tuned in, I'm like, then we all bald except for Reed.
So let me tell you, I'm gonna answer that.
Hey, man.
I'm gonna answer that question.
Man, there ain't nobody ask you that except yourself. Keep going.
I'm gonna answer that. Right? I'm gonna answer that question. I'm the only one that can still grow hair.
No, I can still grow hair.
I'm still the only one that can grow hair.
Grow where it don't grow.
Here's the comment right here, guys. Here's the comment.
All right.
Right now.
Listen, I can still grow hair. My hair actually, if somebody were to, my wife will tell you this. If somebody were to rub their hands through my hair is luxurious. I have big, thick curls on the top of my head, right? Even when the barber cuts my hair, you know, it's a demonstration for how thorough the texture of one's hair can be, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I know it's a lot of hating. I know Smoke, you making that face over there.
Nah, I'm just looking at you and just asking. You know, when cats get their hair cut, like most of their falls out be black. So if your thing is all white and all gray, what's the purpose of keeping you? If you ain't gonna Beijing them down.
Hey, Smoke. He's like the modern day version of Matt Doherty. You remember Matt Doherty had all that gray in his head? All we need to get him a set of braces. Reed, we need to get you some braces. You'd be like Matt Doherty on the show for us, dog.
Listen, all I'm gonna tell you is this: if somebody does send me to Beijing, Smoke, I will take a video of me putting it in so you can see what my head looks like. Just I'll go live while they put the Beijing in my hair.
Get your beard done too, champ.
Don't hate me. Don't hate the player. Hate the game. You know what I mean?
I ain't playing the game.
Don't hate the
I
player.
told you.
Hate the game. Now, I will say this. for the last people that are watching this, I don't know whether you guys use big razors or I don't know what brand you use, but they will do any endorsement deals that you have with razors, with shaving cream, all right, sea breeze or whatever you got to put on your hair to make the hair slick. They are in need of product, right? They are in need of product. They are in need of things to enhance, their situation. Guys, we had a great show tonight.
Hey, Reed, real quick. Hey, Smoke Carry. Any of y'all got you remember Soul Glow?
Yeah, he needed
I don't have the Jerry curl, but I put the Soul Glow, I spray it on my head and just run that joint around while I be shining.
Listen, the last thing I'm gonna say before we get out of here, before we end the show for tonight, right? Smoke brought up semi-pro. I was hoping that nobody said anything about semi-pro. If you 30, 35, you 40 years old, you still out there playing semi-pro football, knock it off.
Hey, man. Knock it off. Man, who are we to judge?
Just knock it off. I'm tired. I'm sick of it.
Man, go ahead, keep playing, man. Have fun, man.
I'm sick,
man.
Hey, I can't play physically. No, I can't hoop. I can't do none of
Kerry,
that.
You the same dude that when your partner come in and the hairline be back here.
Oh no,
they think that thing all the way right there and crisp him up. You be like,
nah,
it's still line though.
Hey, Kerry, remember when Lawrence Phillips told us we look like idiots with our bald head? People don't believe it. Shout out to RP to the great Lawrence Phillips, man, who told us we had bald heads in high school. Lawrence Phillips said, "Hey, y'all look like a bunch of idiots."
And Smooth walked off on us, didn't he? Smooth walked off like
nobody believes me when I tell Kerry. When you tell them you was with me, how crazy Lawrence Phillips talked.
Bro, I was excited. You heard me? I'm a running back. Like, it's Lawrence Phillips. Yeah, y'all, you kept it moving.
Hey, bro, if you've been around him, you know exactly.
Man,
that's what he'll say. He a different bird, bro.
He looked at, and he's number one. He looked like the Incredible Hulk in real life.
Muscle up to here.
Yeah.
Hey, and he told us we better not touch his Homer. I won't tell you where we was at or who he was going to see.
You wasn't supposed to be there.
We won't put that on air, but we were just 17. So, I decided to grow my hair back after that. Obviously, Kerry didn't. We was only 17 then. We 43 now. But listen, hey, peace out, everybody, man. It was a great show. We thank all 1,800 people or 1,900 now that were on here checking us out and watching us live. And we will see you guys next Monday. We sure will have another exciting week of college football. Thank you, guys.
Pay the players, Kerry. Pay them.
I'm with you. Pay them all.
That's a bit.